Hey friends, today we're going to look at a study from 2011 from the Clinical Pharmacology and Therapeutics journal. It's called Cannabinoid Opioid Interaction in Chronic Pain. So we're looking at cannabinoids and opioids today. Very quickly, cannabinoids come from the cannabis plant. Opioids come from the opium plant. Different opioids that you might be familiar with: oxycodone, heroin, fentanyl, Percocet. Most people are familiar with marijuana. So both of these plants and the psychoactive chemicals inside of them, they share pharmacological properties with each other. So the opioids mainly act as a mu agonist in the endorphin system. That's our body's own internal opiate system. And there's some evidence that says that cannabinoids can also act on the system, and that cannabinoids help increase the effectiveness of opioids. That's what this paper is about. See, these things might act synergistically with each other. So this study took 21 individuals who all experienced chronic pain for a number of years. They were all on a regimen of twice daily doses of a sustained release morphine or oxycodone, meaning that the way that they were taking their morphine and oxycodone, they would have a level of opioid in their system at all times in order to control their chronic pain. These people were admitted for a 5-day inpatient stay, meaning they went to the hospital or the laboratory or wherever they were doing this test for 5 days and stayed there the entire time. So each day they inhaled vaporized cannabis. They kind of smoked weed, for lack of a better term. It's not exactly what happened. You can look up inhaling vaporized cannabis if you're curious to learn more about that specific delivery route. So they inhaled it 2 times on the evening of day 1, 3 times a day on days 2 to 4. I'm sorry, I don't know how many times they inhaled on each of these days. It just said that they inhaled vaporized cannabis, so I don't know the amount. 3 times a day on days 2 to 4, and on the morning of day 5. So blood sampling, they took a culture, they drew their blood at 12-hour intervals on the first day and the last day. So that way they could get a baseline of how much opioid was in their system on the first day and on the last day. Also, the extent, the amount of chronic pain that the people were experiencing was assessed daily and rated. So here's the important parts. There was no significant change in the plasma concentration for either morphine or oxycodone. What that means is that the people were not changing their normal dose of opiate. And we know from other research that cannabis helps magnify the pain-killing properties of opiates. And so what they were figuring out what the plasma concentration for the opiates were is they were seeing if cannabinoids increased the amount of opiate in a person's system. So the pain killing wasn't coming from the cannabis, it was coming from more opiate in the blood. But what they found is that that wasn't true. The amount of actual opiate in the blood remained unchanged. However, pain was significantly decreased, an average of 27%, and that's at a 95% confidence interval, which is pretty good statistics for such a small study. And I can note this is a small study from 2011, and all I've looked at is the abstract, but I'm putting it out there for y'all to make your own decisions about these sorts of things. So what we can ascertain from this study, or where we can go with this study, is this offers some solid, it's preliminary evidence. This is not a lockdown case that we've made so far, but it's this preliminary evidence that vaporized cannabis augments analgesic effects of opioids without significantly altering plasma opioid levels. The translation is that vaporized cannabis increases the effectiveness of opiates without increasing the level of opiate that is in the person's blood. So that means that we can offer people the same amount of pain relief with less opiate, or more pain relief without increasing the amount of opiate that a person is getting. And this is really important for people who are dealing with chronic pain, because being on opiates is not a great situation. People get constipated, they get itchy, they don't sleep well. So the thought is that if we can supplement the pain treatment with a cannabinoid, then we can reduce the levels of opioids that a person is needing to take in order to find pain relief. I really thank you for sticking with me this long, and I'll be coming out with plenty more content like this. If you have any questions, thoughts, feedback, please drop them down in the comments. If you hit that like button and the subscribe button and the bell, it makes me feel happy, and it gives me a little dopamine boost. Plus, it increases my visibility in the YouTube algorithms, so more folks can come into content with this stuff. And yeah, thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Peace.